Halacha Gimel. Oil steht is if you had two walls, zu geneged zu, one across from the other, b'nei and mefulosh. Now we'll go down below to the Peirush. If you had two walls, in the first halacha we were talking about where you had a resh or an L, and here he's talking about where you have two parallel walls, and in between it's open. And then you take a piece of a wall that is 4 tvachim wide and a little bit more, and you place it in less than 3 tvachim, close enough to one of the two to make it 7 tvachim, and it's kshero. But you still have to make it tzurus Pesach on the third side to make it complete. The Magen Mishnah cites the Gemara in Sukkah 7a. Amar Yehuda says, if it's done, if it's like a mavui is this foolish, which means you can go through it from one end to the other, and he can place the tevach wherever he wants to. Mavui means two walls, as we said, and mefulish means that you can go from one side to the other. Rav Simon, the same Rav Yeshua ben Levi say, he puts in the middle, it's not enough one tefach, you have to put 4 tvachim. And you put it close to the 3, within 3 of one wall, and it's as if you have 7. So the question is, why, when you have 2 walls in a reish, it's enough 1 tefach, and here when it's in this fashion of a mavui, it has to be 4, and they say in the answer that when it says kilchosim, when you have 2, the Magen Mishnah explains that 2 walls like an L shape, it's enough a tefach shoichik, but when it's separated, you need 4. We'll still continue to explain why that is so, because the kilchosim comes from the brisa that you need shtayim kilchosim, meaning you have to have 2 walls that look like walls. When you have panels that don't have anything connecting them, there's no wall, and therefore when you have 2 walls, you see that the third is completing something that's lacking something. When you have them parallel to each other, there's no building between them. It doesn't look like there's 2 walls. It looks like there's two separate walls, but not 2 walls, and therefore we need to have the connector to be at least 7 tvachim. And you have also the tzurus Pesach. So now you have one complete wall. In fact, now when you place it, the 4 next to one wall, you have 2 kilchoson, which is meaning 2 walls for sure, and the one across from it, parallel to the original wall, is now the third wall as opposed to being the second wall. So the way we look at it is you look at it as the 2 and then the third from across of it. So I guess the halacha was that it's enough to have 3 walls, but 2 have to be halacha. And therefore, this is what we're doing now, is we're making the 2 halacha. And now you have to do a tzurus Pesach. The Magen Mishnah says that that's only according to one opinion of the Gemara, and we discussed that in Halacha Beis. The Rambam is of the opinion that you need by tzurus Pesach whenever you have 2 walls together, and therefore also when it's made in this also in this situation where you have like an alleyway where the 2 walls have no connection, they have to be connected. The Magen Mishnah cites from the Yitzchak Evangelis and the Ito, but there are those who are of the opinion that a sukkah, it's like a mavui, doesn't need a tzurus Pesach, because once you put the 4 tvachim there, you have 2 walls, and when you have the third wall is a definite wall, you don't need a tzurus Pesach, because usually where do you put the tzurus Pesach on? On the third wall, not on the second wall. When you have an L, you have 2 walls, and you're using the third wall, so you use the tzurus Pesach. But here, you have 2 walls, because you have 7 Tvachim, and therefore, but one should be more stringent like the Rambam and the Goinim, and you need a Tzursa Pesach also from the pig, even when it's like this Movri, with this passageway, and the third wall is the intermediate wall between the two of them that connects them. But if you have 3 walls, which are complete walls, you don't need the fourth wall, you don't need a Tzursa Pesach at all. The Shulchan Aruch Paskins in 630, Siv Gimel, if you had 2 walls, one opposite the other, and in between there's a passageway, you should make another wall that's 4 Tvachim wide, places it within 3 Tvachim of one of the walls. So we have Lovud, which is the concept of being attached, and he has to do a B'tzurus HaPesach. He should make a cross beam on top, and it should be a corner. In other words, he has to have a little thin piece of wood on the other wall, and therefore you have a B'tzurus HaPesach. And there are those who say you don't have to do so, and that's what Bali Eitor his opinion. The Mishnah Berurah cited the Achronim or Machmir, more stringent like the Rambam, to have B'tzurus HaPesach. Remember that the schach can be the part of the B'tzurus HaPesach with that, because we say that good ochus, that no, you say pitik or yoyv. So you have a side over there. Now konim, which are part of the schach, which go out from the sukkah, hayotzim mischach hasukkah lifnei hasukkah, and they go beyond the sukkah. In other words, there's a side. We have basically, let's assume you have a box, Rae Gann Sukkah, even though they don't have 4 walls. Let me try to explain this without a picture. That if you have basically a box, and one wall extends out beyond the box, let's say another 7 Tvachim, and then you put the schach on top, and the schach is also hanging out beyond the box 7 Tvachim. So you really only have 2 walls, because on that side of the sukkah, inside the sukkah, the main sukkah, you have 4 walls. The other side of the sukkah, you only have basically 2 walls. Still, it's called, it's like a sukkah, even though it only has 2 walls, not 4. So Rabbeinu Menoach, the Magen Mishnah, cite the source for this in Sukkah 19a. Psal, this is called psal. Something that sticks out, projects from a sukkah, which is a kosher sukkah, is like the sukkah. Psal means the schach itself. Like the Gemara says, Soiles Goyrem Yekev. The schach is supposed to be made from something which grows and which is left over for after the harvest, which is done around Sukkot time. So the Gemara asks the question, what does it mean? And they cite that Rabbi Yosef explained these are these sticks which go out beyond it, and with them they have 1 wall, because otherwise they wouldn't have what to hold it up. I might think we don't have 4 walls here, so he lets us know that if there's a wall that's 5 amas long, and the other one is 3 amas, since the schach goes out from 5 amas beyond, so within those, in other words, one wall is 5, and the parallel walls, one is 5 and one is 3. So the box is only 3 by 3, but the other wall goes out 2 amas beyond. So everything that's parallel or enclosed, encompassing within that area, opposite the 2 extra amas, they are considered like the sukkah. We don't say that since there's only a wall of 3, then anything beyond that would not be kosher, but it's kosher the whole way, and this is the Shittas Rambam. The Kesef Mishnah also explains, and he adds, that there's a chiddush that I would think, since originally he only intended to make a sukkah of 3 amas, and it extended longer. One should not sit under it. Here, right now, he's referring to actually there's no wall separating beyond it. Just one. There are 3 walls. One is on one side 3 tvochim, 3 amas. One on the other side is 5 amas, and then whatever's between them, whatever size that might be, doesn't make a difference to us. But the sukkah is kosher all the way out to the 5 amas depth rather than the 3, even though this was not his intention. And the Kesef Mishnah explains it this way as well, and he adds there's a new idea here that I might think that he didn't have intent, therefore it's not kosher. The answer is that it is kosher. The Shulchan Aruch paskins in, again, 631, if they go out beyond the schach to the side that's open, so he learns it's open, and one side is very long, it's kosher. Even though he made it more than 7, and he showed that he made all the sukkah long, and one with the konim of the schach more than the doifen that's the opposite. V'amana sukkah, it stands by itself. And thus we see that he only has one doifen, which is the one that goes out, even so, it's kosher, like the Rambam. Because the Mishnah cites a different situation, which is mentioned in the Gemara in Sukkah 19a, that this is talking about, as we mentioned earlier, where it goes out beyond the 4th wall. It's on the other side of the wall. And therefore you have 5 and 3, and in the middle you have, after the 3, you have actually a wall there, and it's coming out, and you have an area which is Zion al Zion, and 3 dafnois. Why do you have 3 walls there? And actually, according to this sheet, you would need to have at least 7 tvochim on each side, and then the middle wall, which would act, the 3rd wall, which connects the 3 and the 5 on the outside, is utilized for both the inner sukkah and the outer sukkah, and that's what the Gemara is talking about in that situation. We'll turn the page. There is in the Gemara a 3rd possibility. However, Machon says in the name of Yochanan that where a sukkah where the shade is greater than the sun, and part of the sukkah has an area where the sun comes in greater than the shade, since overall the majority of the area is shaded, it's kosher. You can sit even under the schach, which does not have more shade than sun. Rabbi Yoshe gives us a 4th possibility that pesel means that with the schach posel, meaning pesel from the lotion of posel, it's not good schach. Like you have a sheet hanging inside the sukkah, which is less than 3 tvochim, which is 7 by 7. We're talking about a small sukkah of 7 by 7. That, since it's less than 3 tvochim, it doesn't nullify the space of the sukkah. Guess the Mishnah concludes his statement by saying that the Rambam wrote like Rabbi Rav Yosef, that we're talking about walls of the sukkah, not about the schach, and later he writes like Rabbi Yochanan, and we'll see that he also talks like Rabbi Oshia. So all these possibilities are something that will come up as we continue to study Hilchos Sukkah.